The first individuals to testify will be Bishop Hubbard and clergy. So I will call upon Bishop Hubbard from the Albany Catholic Diocese, the co-chair of the Labor Religion Coalition, as well as Reverend Francis Rausenow from Westminster Presbyterian Church in Albany, and Reverend Maurice Drown from Albany United Methodist Society. If you can make your way to the tables. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting us here today. My name is Pastor Francis Rausenow. I am a pastor here in Albany of a city church on State Street. We are made up of people from different races, different nationalities, different economic backgrounds. And I know very well who the minimum wage affects. The people in my congregation who are faithful people in their life, in their church, to their families, who are working hard and can't get a break. Nowhere in the Bible are poor people talked about as a burden on God or on the community. The working poor, especially in our lives and in our communities, can be plagued by hopelessness when they work as hard as they can, 2 or 3 jobs, and do not see any progress in their lives. I myself, as a professional pastor with a master's degree, have worked at a minimum wage job in between church jobs. And there is no way I could have supported a family on those wages. I was living with extended family at the time. This is an issue that affects our entire community. And when one member suffers, all suffer together. The question, I think, is a simple one. Who are we? Are we a people and a state who see the minimum wage as a pesky problem of burdensome individuals? Or do we see the people who simply want to support their families, working hard? Do we see them as our brothers and sisters? The response to me seems clear. If we are the people we say we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bishop Howard Hubbard of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Albany. I speak today as co-chair of the New York State Labor Religion Coalition. I'm very grateful to you senators for conducting this hearing and for giving us the opportunity to offer testimony. On the subject of wages, Catholic social teaching is very clear. Remuneration for work should guarantee the worker an opportunity to provide dignified livelihood for oneself and one's family on a material, social, cultural, and spiritual level. In New York State, a full-time worker earning a minimum wage will earn $15,080, living below the poverty level for a family of 3. When full-time workers cannot afford to purchase healthy food, pay rent, and access health care, their wages are unjust. When workers must labor day and night in multiple jobs to piece together a livable income as the fabric of family and community is torn apart, their wages are unjust. When workers suffer the enduring consequences of poverty, such as ill health, impeded educational achievement, and housing inequality, even as company executives amass extraordinary wealth, their wages are unjust. It is time to raise New York's minimum wage. Catholic social teaching tells us the economy must serve people, not the other way around. Work is more than a way to make a living. It's a form of continuing participation in God's creation. Employers contribute to the common good through the services and goods and products they provide, and providing jobs that uphold the dignity and rights of workers to productive work, to decent and just wages, to adequate benefits and security in their old age. Unfortunately, we are currently witnessing a massive transfer of wealth from a once vast working middle class to very few rich. A recent study conducted by Jacob Hacker, a political scientist at Yale, and Paul Pearson, a political scientist at Berkeley, concludes that we have experienced a 30-year war in which the long, slow struggle throughout much of the 20th century for greater equality of income and wealth in our nation has been reversed. And what a reversal it has been. The authors document that from 1979 until the eve of the Great Recession, the top 1% of Americans received 36% of all gains, while the median income of non-elderly households actually fell. Excuse me. In fact, the top 1% received over 20% of all after-tax income between 1979 and 2005, compared to 13.5% enjoyed by the bottom 60% of households. In other words, the total of new income going to roughly 300,000 people was 1.5 times the size of the total going to roughly 180 million people. Hence, the authors conclude that in the past 3 decades, our democracy has become the most economically unequal nation in the advanced world. Similarly, a recent report by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office demonstrates that 3 decades of trickle-down economic theory, see-no-evil deregulation, and tax-cutting fervor have led to massive redistribution, whereby we have become wealthy overall, but new riches have bypassed most Americans and instead flowed mainly to the affluent. This plutocracy, which maximizes the interests of the wealthy and the powerful at the expense of the rest of society, must be resisted. For example, as the income of the middle class has stagnated over the past 30 years, at the same time, corporate CEO compensation has ballooned from 24 times the average worker's wages to 300 times that amount. Just 6 members of the Walton family alone, whose patriarch founded Walmart's, now have as much wealth as the bottom 30% of the entire United States population. Now, Catholic social teaching is not opposed to wealth, private property, or free markets, but their value is beneficial only to the extent that they contribute to the good of all, creating a widely spread prosperity. That is why church social teaching consistently cites equality as a core measure of economic well-being, warning that growing disparities of wealth not only violate the basic principles of justice, but they create a concentration of power that threatens social cohesion and democratic integrity. We cannot have public policies which allow this to happen. Therefore, faith and conscience calls us to speak out against the corporate plutocracy that monopolizes policymaking in this country, and to stand up for a system that values every member of society. The raising of the minimum wage is a positive step in that direction. According to David Cooper with the Economic Policy Institute, if the proposed bill is passed, 609,000 minimum wage workers in New York would directly get a raise, while another 473,000 with wages just above the proposed new minimum wage would see a wage increase as employers adjust overall pay structures. This translates into an estimated $600 million in additional economic activity, which means more jobs. By raising the minimum wage, we begin to discern a path toward dignity and respect for all members of our society. We thank you, Senators, for taking leadership on this critical issue, and I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you.